My name is Shar George. I'm a psychotherapist and founder of Culture Minds Therapy. My role is to take therapy outside of the office and to you all at home. I bring to you the mind behind your favourite guests. We speak about mental health, therapy and self-care. Toni, you got such a lovely smile.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
I want to start off with an icebreaker. Okay, so it's a wellness this or that.
Okay.
So I'm going to read to you some statements and I want you to say whatever comes to your mind, okay?
All right.
Don't think too hard, whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Morning runs or evening walks?
Oh, evening walks.
Early riser or night owl?
Night owl.
Affirmations or vision boards?
Vision boards.
Bubble bath or hot stone massage?
Hot stone massage.
Spa day or nature retreat?
Spa day.
Reading a book or watching a movie?
Watching a movie.
Meditation or mindfulness?
Mindfulness.
Energy drink or coffee?
Can I say neither? I'm like caffeine intolerant, so I don't do it.
Okay, let's say neither. Let's say neither. We don't want to cause no problems. City break or adventures?
Ooh, that's hard. It depends what the
Keep
adventure
going.
is.
Go.
City break.
Plantain or plantain?
Plantain.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. It is an absolute pleasure to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. It's a long time coming.
I know, it has been. How are you, on a scale of 0 to 10, how are you feeling with 10 being the happiest?
Okay, happiest. I am an 8.
That's lovely, nice and high.
Yeah, nice and high.
What's making you feel an 8?
I would say the good things that are making me feel an 8 are my family and friends. Like that's all in a good place. My partner, all in a good place as far as my relationship goes. Work, all in a good place. Like I'm working. I'm not as busy as I would like, but I'm working. But the two things that I would say that dropped me from a 10, recently I've been having a lot of anxiety, like feeling really anxious. And you know those like anxious moments where you're like, why, the worst anxious moments where you can't pinpoint the reason, like why am I feeling this way? So I would say that's why I'm an 8. I would have said like a 10, I don't know, 5 months ago, but recently I've just been really anxious, like I'm just waiting for something. But I think it might just be like changes, certain career changes in my life that I just have to like settle into.
You've just been signed.
Yes.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Do you think that might be causing you to feel quite anxious?
I did talk to my mom about that actually. I did say, could it be that? Because obviously like I'm with a new management agency and I have to like settle into that. I think that could be part of the reason. That's probably one of the few reasons. But they are fantastic. But I just need to get, you know, when it comes to change, change always brings like a certain level of uncertainty. And even if it's positive change, it can be overwhelming because I've been used to doing something the same way for like the past 3-4 years. And now it's completely different. So I think that might be adding to it. So yeah.
There we go. Well, that might be the reason.
Yeah.
We'll see. What's your love language?
Oh my gosh, my love language. Interestingly, my love language has changed over the years. And I think that's dependent on different factors, like my partner being one of them, or the kind of partner I have. If you had asked me before my current partner, I would have said words of affirmation is a big one for me. And I would have said, yeah, words of affirmation and quality time. But because with him, I get words of affirmation a lot, I feel like I deprioritized it because I get it so much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was just going to ask that.
So it's still quality time because I'm in a long distance relationship. So that's obviously important to me. But I think now physical touch, which was like my number 4, is now my number like 2 because I'm in a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
So I would say quality time and physical touch because I'm in a long distance relationship. But when that distance closes, I think it'll be completely different again.
I love that. And I love how, because I was going to ask you, do you feel like your love language has changed from when you were younger to now? And you've kind of mentioned the relationship you're in, it has changed.
Yeah. It's so fluid. I think sometimes people are of the impression your love language is the same throughout your life. But no, like you can have one partner, it can be one thing because they're fulfilling certain needs, and you have another partner, it's another thing. Long distance relationship will change it, proximity will change it. Where you are in your life, for example, like I speak to a lot of mothers who say acts of service, because they got stuff to do, you know? Like, yeah. So yeah, it's always changing.
I love that. Yeah, we've got stuff to do. So acts of service, please. I love that. How is your relationship? I know it's long distance. I know you love out loud.
Yes.
So how are things with your partner?
Things are good. He's coming to England in November, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to that. Things are good. Just kind of like we're at a stage now where we're just figuring out next steps, because obviously it's been just over a year and a half now, and it's going to be 2 years next year, the beginning of next year, and just kind of figuring out the next steps regarding like how we reduce that distance and what we want to do, how we're going to go about it. So yeah, but all good.
I love that. I asked you off camera, and I did remember to ask you now. How does it feel being in a relationship where, as I was saying to you, you're very beautiful, he's handsome. You. How does it feel? Do you feel that there's a pressure to kind of conform to to the black love narrative?
No, I wouldn't say pressure, but I think that's also partially because of the kind of person I am. And that's also why like I was comfortable sharing this relationship, because it's like, you know what, it is what it is. I've been with people in the past that like my followers know of, because I also shared that. So it's like, in my mind, stuff happens, you know? Like, I'm not going to limit the love I have and limit my desire to like love out loud and be romantic and whatnot, because I'm like worried about what people will think should it fail, right? If it fails, then you love someone else and then you share that if you're happy to share it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as far as like the black love narrative, I guess when I think about what the narrative is, it's literally like two black people being in love and making it work. And the reason why I don't feel pressure to adhere to that is because that is literally just love. It's romance, but we're just putting black in front because it's two black people, right? Yeah. But in any relationship, you want to make it last, you want to make it work. So my desire is to make it last and to make it work, but I won't let that prevent me from making decisions that are in my best interest. So hypothetically, say he turned out to be completely different from how he's been for the past like year and a half, and suddenly changed, and he changed in a terrible way, touch wood that never happens, but I wouldn't think, oh, I have to stay in this relationship to appease people or impress people. Like, if there's one thing about me, like I've written in my books, like I'll be in a relationship, I'll drop one and go to another if it's not working. Like, it needs to serve me, right? The same way I want my partner to be happy, I need to be happy. So if you're not making me happy, I don't care how many people have us on their Pinterest board. Like I'm leaving, right? And he's the same way though. He's the same way. That's like he's definitely a catch in his own way. And if I wasn't meeting his needs, he wouldn't stay just because people know we're together. Like, he would do his own thing. So I think that's really important, to love other people, but more than me loving a man, I think the important thing is me loving myself, which I have learned to do very well.
I love that.
In my 30s. So,
and I want to touch upon that, actually, loving yourself. But before I go there, I want to ask, do you feel that women maybe have a pressure to perform when it comes to reaching certain milestones in regards to relationships and love?
Sometimes. I think that people are of the opinion that by 30, you need to be married. By 30, you need to have had a child. So I think that sometimes that pressure does get to women, because I have women write to me all the time and say like, oh, I'm 27 and I'm single, or I'm 30 and I've never had a boyfriend. But it's a shame, because it's almost like they're measuring their joy and happiness according to their age as opposed to like circumstance. Like, if you haven't met your person, you haven't met your person. It's not by force, you have to meet them by 30. So I do think that there is a bit of a pressure sometimes, which is a real shame. But I think that things are changing as well though, because historically, when we look at the age people did things, it was way younger than now. And now I think more women are coming to terms with the fact that like, we don't have to do things according to when society says we have to do them. We do them according to when we want to do them, or when the circumstance presents itself.
Yeah, that's very true, because when I think about my grandmother, if I'm right, she probably had her children at like a very young age, like 18, and she had 5.
Wow.
Whereas now it's like we're getting older and we're having children at a much later age.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah.
What would you say to a young girl who may feel pressure into getting into a relationship because they're maybe getting pressure from their family or their parents? What would you say to her?
I would say just stop for a second, pause, drown out the noise and ask yourself, what do you want? Fundamentally, at the point you're at right now, what do you think will make you happy? I've been through that same thing where in my 20s I thought, oh, I have to get married, I have to get married. And when I finally took that pause and I asked myself what I wanted and what I was ready for, most importantly, I realized, bruh, I was not ready to be someone's wife. It's not even what I wanted. I just thought that that's what I was supposed to do. I wasn't doing anything else at the time. I thought that was the next tick box, you know? I was approaching life like a tick box exercise. I'll go to uni, get your degree, get married, have a kid, bada boom, bada bing. My job as a woman has been completed,
fulfilled.
right?
Yeah.
But then when I thought about what I really wanted, I was like, oh, I kind of want a career. I don't want to really be a wife right now. I don't really want to be tied to someone. And actually, I totally just turned everything on its head. So yeah, I would say to a young girl who's feeling that pressure to just pause, drown out the noise and just ask herself, what do I really want? And if she believes that's what she wants, the next question would be, why? Because sometimes we'll say, oh yeah, I do want to get married. Then we ask ourselves why, and we're like, oh, wait, the why is not adding up. So then ask yourself why. Is it because you have met someone that you love beyond understanding and comprehension, that you see yourself building a life with, that you share values with, that you think is an asset, a great representation of you? Or is it because you think that's what, you're trying to fill a void, you think that's what you should be doing? So yeah, do you want it and why do you want it?
I love that so much. And for yourself, you've written 2 books. Yeah. One was a Sunday Times best-selling author.
Yeah,
Have I got that
crazy.
Right? Amazing. How did that feel, first of all?
That was surreal, because I always say this to people, like even when you asked me about Icebreakers, you said books or movies, and I said movies because growing up I was not a bookworm.
Okay.
Some people assume that like if you're a writer, English was your favorite subject in school and you're just this natural bookworm. People always think I'm reading books all the time.
Yeah.
I read a lot online, but I'm not reading actual books, and I watch a lot of things, to be fair. So it was surreal for me because I never saw myself as a child becoming an author.
Wow.
So to become an author and then to become a best-selling one, I was like, huh? Like people actually care about what I have to say. That was crazy for me. That was really crazy. Even to this day, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, how did that happen? It just felt like serendipitous, to be honest. But I'm really happy it did happen because it brought me on a path that I never even knew was possible.
I love that. And you mentioned in your book that you started dating at 16 years old. Upon reflection, or in hindsight, what do you think would be the right age for ladies to start, or men to start dating?
I can't say that there is a right age. Okay. I think it is all down to the individual and where they are in life. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I thank God for dating when I dated, and I'll tell you why. So in my book, for the people who haven't read it, I mentioned that obviously I dated at 16. Mm-hmm. And the only reason that came about is because there was a boy in school that liked me and I felt like my parents would not let me date because I was too young. So I lied to them and said I was staying over at my friend's house, or I was chilling with my friend, but I went to the cinema with him. Mm-hmm. And then my brother, the snitch, ended up calling my friend's house. And then my mum was like, oh, I want to speak to Toni, my friend, because I never gave her the intel. I was like, Toni, she ain't here. Yeah. And then they found out that I was with a boy at the cinema, blah, blah, blah. And then they pulled me out of the cinema, took me home. And when I was home, amongst the speech of like, oh, they're so disappointed in me, which hurt so much, I would rather have them like gone crazy, but they were just calm and said they're disappointed. My dad, he really surprised me, and this will really resonate with me forever. He had a discussion with my mum and he said, you know what, we're going to allow you to date. And I was like, huh? What, I lied to you and my punishment is you're going to allow me? I was like, that doesn't make sense. And they basically said, based on what you did, and that's so out of character, we know that you really, really like this boy. And we would much rather you be honest and transparent with us than try to hide it. Because if we forbid you, we've been teenagers before, you will try and do it behind our back. They said, you can date, but the catch is we have to know everything. So I was like, deal. So he became my boyfriend, but my parents obviously knew everything. Like he would literally pick me up from the house or pick me up from my dad's work at the time. And I'm so glad I went through that, because one, I say it should be down to personal circumstance, because my parents were very involved and very active as far as like, they were so inner, but in a way that helped me and saved me, to be honest. So I was dating within parameters that were quite safe, and I was still dating as a teen and not as an adult. So we weren't having sex or anything like that. Like it was within very kind of like innocent remits, right? And my parents had full oversight in that, and they were knowledgeable about like what was going on, right? And I'm glad I went through that, because my boyfriend at 16 was such a gentleman, and my boyfriend in university was one toxic piece of... Had I not been with this boy that was such a gentleman, I would have gone into that relationship in university and thought that was the right normality, right? Like, this is how boys are. But because I'd been with a boy that was really nice to me, he set a standard. My parents were involved as well. I knew dating is not supposed to be like this. So even though I was in that horrible relationship for way too long, I knew it was horrible, at least, because of my experience. So it's a very long answer, but what I would say is that it's not a matter of age as much as it is a matter of how you're doing it and the point you are at as a person. Because some people like me can date at 16 and it's fine for them because their parents are involved, the guy is really nice, everything is all above board. There are some people that can't do that because the guy is really horrible, their parents aren't involved, and they should probably wait till they mature a bit and have a better understanding of self. So there's not one rule, unfortunately. You have to do what you think feels right.
I really love that, and I love the fact that your parents changed that narrative whereby they were saying, okay, you can date, but they want to know everything.
Yeah.
Because to some kids that will be like a shock, like, oh, you want to know everything, everything. But they were like, we've been teenage, so they almost normalized your experience and made it something that you could enjoy with them.
They did. And even though there's no right age, I would say that I think 16 is probably the youngest.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend anyone younger than 16 dating. I think 16 is probably the youngest age, but as for like the right age, I can't say. But yeah, they surprised me because I just thought...
That is surprising. If my parents said that, I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, I thought they were going to flip. Honestly, then when they said it, honestly, it was my dad, because I know my mom was not having it. My dad was like, chill, we need to do this otherwise. And they're right, because I probably would have snuck and tried to see him again.
And it's nice coming from a dad as well, because your relationship with your dad shapes the relationship that you have with other men in your life as well. So it's nice coming from dad, and dad had that trust in you.
Exactly. I think that was a big thing for me, the fact that they trusted me enough to like make smart decisions.
Yeah. You speak a lot about your dad in the book, in this lovely book here. You speak about the relationship that you had together. It was rocky, but it got to a place where he wrote you a letter.
Yes.
And you were able to both be open and express how you were feeling.
Yeah.
How did it get to a stage where he wrote you that letter? Without giving any spoilers, I want people to get the book.
I'm quite lucky in that, even though I don't come from the perfect family, I think from the outside looking in, people assume that, oh, my family is perfect. They see like 2-parent household, we do things together, we spend a lot of time together. But we're not a perfect family. But I think one thing that really helps us as a family is that we are a very communicative family. We may not be perfect, but we talk about everything. We hash everything out. And my dad got to that point of writing the letter because us as his children, I have 2 other siblings, we didn't keep quiet about things that annoyed us. And we didn't shy away from effectively like telling him about himself or telling my parents, both my parents, because they both had their own flaws, right? But we didn't shy away from telling him about things that occurred in our childhood that we weren't happy about. And obviously every parent is different. Sometimes your parents aren't trying to listen. And I can't say that like, oh, every single time we spoke to him, he was receptive, because he definitely wasn't. But he was more receptive than the opposite. And I think through all the years of saying, we didn't like that you did this, we didn't like that you did that, we wish you did this differently, it's built up this kind of understanding on his part that yes, he was a good dad in a lot of ways, but he could have been better. And when we became adults and we were able to like articulate that in a way that really hit home, and I guess it's different when your children grow up into adults. Like your child can say something to you as a child, and it's like, you don't know nothing, you're a child, right?
Yeah.
But when they become adults and you love who they've become and you respect who they've become, it's an easier pill to swallow, because it's like, you know what, you're right. You're right, I get it, you're right. And I think one day we just had a deep discussion with him, and he was like, dang, yeah, wow. I wish I was better in this way and that way and this way. And like I said, my dad is a great dad in so many ways. There are just little things I think he could have done differently, and he knows that now. And that letter was his way of saying, yeah, I agree with you. And it was so nice because it gave us a lot of, not closure, closure is not the right word, but it kind of gave us like an element of peace, because it's like, okay, so as your kids, we weren't bugging. Yeah. Like, you get it, and because you get it, we can start from a fresh slate. And from that point, like, it's literally been such a fresh slate. But it was just refreshing as a parent, just to feel validated. Sorry, not as a parent, but as a child, to feel validated and to feel seen by your parent. And just for my dad to like validate us meant the world. And I feel like that validation meant more than like kind of like superseded any other like negative thing that we had issues with. Because it's very hard, I think, for a parent to do. Like a lot of parents, there's a lot of pride there. Like you want to feel like you did everything right. So to hear your own child say, you were good, but it's like heart-wrenching, right? But he really took it on the chin, and I love him for that. And I'll always have so much love and respect for him to be able to like say that and acknowledge that.
I love that. And we've seen you and your family on TV. I can't remember, what was the name of the show
High Life.
Again? Yes, High Life. Was it on Channel 4?
Yes, yeah.
So we've seen how loving and how the togetherness when it comes to your family. And I did love watching your family on that show. It was very nice to just see you guys at home and just see how you guys are so close. And as you said, you communicate about a lot. So it was nice to get that representation as well of families.
Yeah, yeah.
How did that feel?
That was so good, and that was the key reason why we agreed to go on the show. It was less about like personal interest and personal gain, and more about showing the UK public that Black families are not like a monolith, that there are varying types of families, and that there are families who can be vulnerable, who can communicate, who can share time together, share things together. And I think that's really important to see, because we don't have a lot of like positive Black family representation, right? And we thought, you know what, if there's one thing we're going to do as part of this show, we're going to show them that, yeah, we're close. Like my family is my world. Like we're best friends, all of us. And I think that came across, which I was really happy about.
I love that. And what is your earliest memory of your parents being in love that's helped shape your narrative about love?
It's so silly because it's something so minute, right? But I see them do this all the time, and it really just warms my heart. But seeing my parents dance together, I have like little snippets. I've shared the odd snippets online as well before that my followers have seen. But when I see them have fun together, but particularly like when music is playing and they're dancing and they just like, they don't have a care in the world. That's just so lovely to see, just to see two people connect in a fun way, in a mutual way, because they both love music, but also to just like enjoy each other's company so organically and so in such a free way. I think that was big for me. Just growing up and seeing them, like we'll go to like a hall party or something and they're dancing together, and even like as an adult, whenever I catch them dancing, I take a video, because it's just nice. And they've been married now for 35 years, and it's just nice that like through all the ups and downs, they've managed to work things out, stay together, and they still know how to like have fun together.
And that's lovely, because you have that blueprint of your parents.
Yeah.
They're married, they've gone through their highs and their lows, but they can be that example for you to see in your relationship now. Yeah,
that's so true. I think that's really important. Like growing up with that representation, I entered relationships with the awareness that long-lasting relationships exist, and if you want to make it work, you can make it work. So that was helpful to see that, and then be able to know that, okay, it can happen for me.
I love that. I love the fact that they've helped shape your narrative of long-lasting relationships can last, can work, and we can get married, we can do all of this. So that's lovely. That's nice and warming to hear.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the reason why you love yourself today.
Okay.
And how you've got to that stage with self-awareness and self-love. And I know in your book, I Wish I Knew This Earlier, you speak about going to therapy. So talk to me about how therapy has helped shape you as a person.
I think for me, for everyone it's different, but I think one thing that therapy did for me was force me to like admit things I didn't want to admit. I think it's different when you're on your own or you're with your friends. You're in a setting where like you're so familiar with it, so you're stuck in your habits, right? But when you are sat with someone who you know is a professional and they have a duty of care to you, and their job is to help you come to certain realizations or come to a certain place, then I feel like you're a little bit more forthcoming with being honest, because you don't know them from Adam, right? They're not going to judge you. They talk to people every day. So I think for me, it helped me in pushing me to admit certain things. Like being in therapy, I let my walls down and I was more vulnerable. When I was with my friends, there were certain things that I might just brush under the carpet, or you're just forming big girl, aren't you? Like strong girl, like I don't care about that, whatever, it is what it is. Then when you're in therapy, you're like,
I care about it.
Yeah, it bothered me, like it actually bothered me. So yeah, so I think that's what it did for me.
And what led you to therapy?
It was like a combination of things, but ultimately it was me feeling like I was doing so much preaching online about understanding yourself. And I thought to myself, you've only understood yourself to a limit.
Okay.
You've not actually really explored that. And also at the time, I had gone through a breakup. So this was like several years ago. I had gone through a breakup that had me questioning so many things about my decision-making process, about what I tolerated, about who I was and what I actually wanted. And I was just like, I need some friggin' answers. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, why is this situation bothering me so much? And those two things in combination pushed me to be like, okay, let me talk to someone to see if I can really get to the bottom of like why I'm feeling how I'm feeling. And it helped.
I love that. When I think about this book, what comes to my mind is, I wish I knew this earlier, but I'm happy I know this now.
Yeah.
When I was reading it, it reminded me of what it feels like to be in love and go through the stages of love. And as you call yourself the big sister, I do generally get that vibe from this book. And so I'm happy that you actually wrote this book. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot that you've even read it.
No worries. And I've read both.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, both a lovely read. And I really enjoyed getting to know you in the book, but meeting you in person and getting to know you now. So it's been lovely.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
No worries. How do you take care of your mental health now? What are the things you're doing?
What do I do? I love a vacation. I can't lie.
You do love traveling. Well, I love a vacation with you. See, when you're traveling, I'm like, yes.
I love a vacation.
Lovely.
If I'm under it, I'm just like, you know what? Let me get away. I love a vacation. I love having me time. Sometimes I just need to unplug, like especially when you're on social media, because you're like connected to thousands of people at any given time. And sometimes I just need to be like, okay, I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to have my own time. I might like be watching TV, documentaries, watching a series. Right now, the series I'm watching is Grey's Anatomy, because I never watched it when it airs. And now my sister's like, you need to watch Grey's. And so now I have my me time, watch my Grey's, have some herbal tea, and just like unplug. I'm trying to get better with the exercise, because that's one thing I suck at that I know makes such a big difference.
Literally.
But I would say for me, the main thing is, traveling, having my me time, and just doing stuff I enjoy. Like even if it's just like going to a cafe. Before this interview, I was like at a little cafe, I got some of my favorite things, had a little hot chocolate, and I just like people watched. And that like is enough for me to just feel at peace and feel relaxed.
I love that. Anything we can expect in regards to writing new books? What can we expect from the future from Toni?
I'm writing another book.
Ooh.
That is going to be out hopefully next year.
Love it. Love it.
I feel like it's going to be very different from these.
Any teasers?
You know what? All I can say is that it's going to be very different from these two.
Okay.
These two, I feel like were very reflective, very I don't want to say politically correct, but politically correct in the sense that my duty was to look at both sides, also be accountable and just give people a very holistic view of whatever it was I was talking about. This book is a bit more one direction, like, yeah, straight to the point, not beating around the bush. It might rub a few people up the wrong way, but I feel like it's a necessary book. That's all I'm going to say. It's necessary.
I love that. Well, congratulations on that. I'm
Thank
excited
you.
for when that comes out. And thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Sinead. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you.